Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Let's bang this out. This is me making a quick primary for myself. It's time for a fresh one. You ready? So, for the start here, we're going to be putting this nut into this 3/4 plywood I have on top of the table. I have the circle made out, and it gives me a center, okay? So we're going to start off by just drilling the center. And my drill bit's just a little bit too small. So I'm going to have to route it out a little bit with the drill bit to get it in there. So it's a little too tight. The reason we're putting this in here, because we're going to make the secondary adjustable. And this is how we're going to do it. A little bit more. Call that crash, but don't call it a burn. Woo! I rescued you guys. All right, now we're golden. So let me get you guys set up better on the table here. So the nut fits in. Now I just have to get the nut out. And we're going to get some hot glue. And we're just going to make sure that we got some good amount of glue in there. Not trying to fill the hole, just trying to get it on the cavity wall there. And we're going to glue in that nut so it has a good firm grip on that nut, because it's going to be holding up our coil. Alright, so nuts in place. And we'll just let that go in the beginning, okay? Alright, so now we'll jump into, this is going to be the secondary that I'm mounting on this here. So I had in my workshop a long time ago, it's for plumbing. And it's if you want to seal off some PVC pipe for pressure, and you put this in there. Obviously, it's got to be a certain diaphragm in there, and spreads out. So we're going to take that, just sit it inside the secondary. We're going to tighten the nut. So right now it's spreading out the rubber. Okay. Let me hold the nut a little bit. There we go. So it's tight on there now, and now you have a screw apparatus, so we can actually screw down onto the nut. And right now I don't want to challenge that glue, but that's what we're looking at. So, am I back finally? Jeez. So here we are, we got the nut planted in the middle. Sorry guys, hello to everybody. So the nut's in place. The secondary here has this mounted to it, so we can turn this and raise the elevation on it, okay? So very important for you guys who are building your first Tesla coils to understand that that's important. So we got a circle here. First of all, what we want to do is check our circumference. Hey Adam, yeah I know, my internet took a dump. But welcome aboard. So I was just saying that we have this on the bottom here so we can adjust the secondary up and down. We got the nut in the center to screw that into. And we got a circle here. Now we're going to go ahead and check the diameter of the from outside to outside. We're 4.5 inches. So what I want to do here is have an opening going down into the primary, and I guess what I'd like to do is have something like probably something, if this is 4.5, I definitely want a good 1.5 inches around the outside where the primary stops. And why? If you had it closer and you're dealing with higher voltages, you're going to have breakout, and you don't want that. And I'm dealing with 15,000 volts twice with 120 milliamps. So we'll have a lot of breakouts. So I want to stay back. Plus, I wanted to do some experimenting with this new primary by not only sending one signal out from the frequency of this coil. I already know this is 566 kilohertz, 20 gauge wire, by the way, for good current. I want to have the receiver and this primary in resonance with a standing wave between each other. And I want them 50 feet apart. So hear me out. 50 feet apart. I'm making a grounding system that goes for both. So we're going to vibrate the ground. And I believe that's how the ground, or Tesla, figured that the ground could be vibrated. If you hit it with a hammer, it vibrates, right? So we can't send electric down it because it shunts it because of the massive consumption of the earth. So we want to have an open area so we can have a chamber, sort of like a sound chamber would be. So we're going to make sound waves going down in the ground, which will lighten up all the area of the ground around it. And I'm just talking 50 feet here. This coil, a sister coil to it, the thing is, the way this is wound is the way we're going to wind the primary. So it's in the same, starting from the outside, which are hot, your negative and inside. We're going to go ahead and, well, actually with the NST, they're both hot and cold. So there is really no positive or negative here. They're both flipping. But what I'm getting at is with that wash machine effect that this will have, you got to make sure that the primary and the secondaries turn the same way. It's just very important to keep everything flowing in the same circular motion. So yeah, let's rock on. So here we go. So I definitely want a good 1.5 inches. So by 4.5, 1.5 inches. So we're looking at adding 3 inches. So we're looking at 7.5 inches. So half of 7.5 is 3 3/4. So we want to be 3 3/4 out to here, and we want to be 7.5 out to here. And then I want to look at my coil sitting in there and kind of say, okay, well, you know what? That's perfect. Because what I want to do is experiment by having a standing wave between the two coils. Get them in resonance. And in resonance, what that is really is that you have a transmitter and receiver, two coils, and there is those two, not the start, but those two are a high peak and two lows in a sense. So you got your transmission going out, and then you'll have your length, your wavelength right there, and then at the wavelength of the repulsion going on, you're going to have a node in the middle. So you're going to have a high point and a low point, sort of like a sinusoidal going out, but it's one quick snap. It's definitely a snap going out from the transmitter to the receiver. So what I'm getting at is the ground's going to be ultrasound sonically approached. The pickup just 50 feet away. I'm not looking to go any distance here. I'm just trying to check out some kind of theory that I believe that I think that will work from what I see. So we're going to go ahead and use the ground. The everything in the air, static, seems like it's, when it's repeated out like that, it's everywhere. So the top load that will be able to pick up and have it all the time. The ground's vibrating and the ground's stimulating. It's all connected. So this is this would be the first harmonic we're going is 50 feet. And ask me why 50 feet is important. All right, so good question for you guys. So if we're shooting 566 kilohertz, and say if 566 feet was the distance of the wavelength, where's the first harmonic? The first harmonic will be half the distance. Half the distance of the wavelength. So there's your first harmonic, and that would be your first node. And your node is your low pressure. So you have from one node to another node, or from one node to the source where it's coming from. Yes, half. So where it's coming from, in the middle is your high point, your high pressure, and your frequency. Okay, and that's where your resonant frequency is in the middle there. So we just took the distance and cut it in half. So say 250 feet. If 566 feet was the wavelength for 566 kilohertz. I don't know this to be true, but I'm just saying half that distance would be it. Let's rock into this, guys. So here we go. So we want that open in here because what I wanted to do was, in between the two standing waves, I want to send high frequency waves. So what I'm going to do is send low frequency, okay? A lot of bass, baby, a lot of bass. Send that bass. So the ground is what it has, is the bass. It's the bass part, it's the solid. So we're going to vibrate the ground and have the bass ready for whatever the load would be, or basically between the pickup and the transmitter, we have to put loads in there, as loads will come off of this, because you'll have a resonance between the transmitter and the receiver. And what we're looking to do is send a high frequency through the low frequency. And the low frequency is our standing wave. So the standing wave, that's going to be 50 feet, or it's going to be 56 feet. Depends how we divide. I got to divide the wavelength of this coil in half. And that'll tell me my first node at what distance. So we could walk, when I have this fired up, we should be able to walk from here to the transmitter and have a flag at certain ports or areas. And that should be each node where the light should turn off. No power, low pressure. And then it should pick up and go to the next node. And I believe it's the ground ultrasound, it's sound that you're creating in the ground by using the bottom end of the secondary. Let's get into this, guys. Loving it. So we got the thing in the middle, the screw. We got our marks on the outside here. We're packing 7.5 inches, and let's get it rocking here. So 7.5 inches all the way around. I got this on here. This is a drywall. circular thing they use for like ceilings and whatever. And it gives you a circle. Pretty cool stuff to have, especially if you do drywall. I'm going to go ahead and I see the mark in case you don't. It's a groove in the ground. Okay. And that's going to be where we put these right here. These are just some good solid leftover pieces from cabinets I had. Cut them in half. And what we're going to do is glue them. Yeah? Huh? All right, I'll be right in, my darling. All right, I'm on the. I hear you. All right, so I got to rescue the family from the bird in the house, obviously. So we're going to start off by going here. Okay, there's number one. We're gluing that down. So what I accidentally did in my house, and I accidentally do it every year, and I guess I kind of don't care that they're there, but one of my kids are afraid of birds, and I don't close the chimney flue, so there's a certain type of bird that comes down there and puts their nest down there. So right now they're all hatching or actually able to fly. Actually, they've been hatched. So we hear the birds every morning for a few weeks. I'll be right there, princess. I'll be right there. The bird's not going to go nowhere. I think it's the mama bird. Comes in through the top. And I think I caught her 6 times in the house this week. I think she comes down and flies back out because the babies are still in there and they're chirping. They're chirping a lot. So basically we're setting the perimeter up right now to put 1/4-inch copper tubing around. Seems like I gotta cut a couple more, and I gotta go rescue the family from the bird. So stay tuned. I'll jump back on at about whenever I get back in, guys. Please stay tuned. I'll be back probably a half hour, 20 minutes.